Hello, everyone. This is Fred, and welcome to another story time. I am a puppet who's being controlled by Octavius. Now, we're not professional, so this is all just for fun. We're just getting practice in, so we're just telling random stories from Octavius's past. And I was sitting here thinking of a story to tell, and I thought of this one. It's a quick story, but it always makes me laugh when I think of it. So, back when I was a kid, I was very athletic. I was a chunky kid, but I was still very athletic, which I know most people these days are like, oh, how? Like, it's weird because they act like big people can't do anything, but I was a fat kid my entire kid life, but I did things better than most thin kids. Like, I'll give you a couple instances. Like at gym, our coach would he had those ropes that would hang from the ceiling, and he'd be like, all right, climb the ropes, touch the ceiling, and then slide back down. None of the kids could do it, but this overweight black kid could do it, which was me, and I did it with ease to the point where he was amazed. Like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, I don't know, I just did it. You want me to do it again? He'd be like, yeah, and I do it again. I did it like 10 times with no problem. And it was no big deal to me, but everyone else was like, how is he doing this? It was weird. And another thing, I could, in gym, it was always in gym class. So I don't know, I think they had just got some Olympic gear for gymnastics. It was like a little jumping pad, and you use the jump pad to jump on. I don't know what it's called, but you see it in gymnastics all the time. Now, I wasn't so athletic to where I would be like a gymnast, like doing backflips and stuff. But I could flip. Let's just put it that way. And I wouldn't doubt that I could do a backflip. It's just that I was scared to. I always thought I would do something wrong and fall on my head and break my neck, which is why I never did backflips. But I do front flips all day. Like, with hands or no hands, I could do it. But I would never do anything like a backflip because I was just scared. But I don't doubt that I could do one. But I would be in gym class doing all these flips, and the coach again would be amazed. He's like, "How are you doing this?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I'm doing it just like Sarah's doing it. I don't know what you want me to tell you. My body mass, it didn't matter. I was still strong, and I was still athletic, even though I had much more fat on my body. It didn't matter to me. I don't know what they want from me, but." I said all that to say this. So here's that was just a setup. So, like I said, me and my cousin and I, this is Josh again. So Josh was more than a brother than a cousin to me. We were real close. And we did everything together back then. So it was my cousin Chris. Josh wasn't there this time. It was Chris. I remember, because yes, alright. It was Chris. Now, Chris, we lived together for a long time, so Chris was really close as well. But this was crazy. All right. So it was Chris and me in the backyard. We had a bench back there, like a picnic bench. And we would always do crazy flips off of it. We just get to the edge, we do a handstand, and then turn to a flip off the edge. He could do backflips and stuff. I would always do front flips, and we land on our feet. Sometimes we land on our butts. It was craziness. I'm surprised we didn't injure ourselves, but we would always be back there doing crazy stuff. And our neighbor kid saw us. I forget his name. Was it Champ? I think his name was Champ. He comes over. He's and I guess he thought what we were doing was cool, and he wanted to join in. And like I said, we were young. Maybe early teens, I think. If it wasn't 10 or 11, it must 12, no older than that. Might have been 10 or something like that, but we were young. So the kid comes over. He's much younger than us, by the way. He's maybe 9 or something. I don't know. He was younger. He comes over, and he's like, "Oh man, cool. Can I flip with you guys?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Now we're assuming he knows how to do this. Like no one's gonna come over and ask can they do flips off of your picnic table if they don't know how to do it. You would think anyway. So we're like, yeah, man, we go after Chris. So we're doing our flips, and then he goes up to his turn, and he climbs up on the picnic table, and he goes to the edge, and you got that little, like he's gonna go, and he does. Well, he takes a few steps back because it looks like he's gonna do, he wants a running start, which is fine. We did that sometimes, and he takes back, and he goes forward, and he jumps. He puts his hands down like he's gonna do a handstand, which is going well at this point. Not too shabby, and he has enough momentum where he's doing a complete handstand. So his hands are down on the edge of the picnic table, and he's a straight line up, and so his feet are in the. And he's just.
And now at the time I'm thinking this is part of the bit. I'm like, oh man, that's because I don't think I've ever done a handstand before, and I'm like, oh man, you got it, champ. And so now he just has to stick to landing. So I'm thinking he's just gonna shift his body weight to where he would, his feet would move forward, and then he would just land on his feet and walk away. That did not happen. What happened? What happened was, it's so weird. What happened? I don't know. I can't even explain it. I'd have to draw a diagram or something. So it's like he let go, if that makes sense. Like he just, like, I don't know if he panicked and he I don't know what to do from here, but he kind of, it's like his arms gave out. Like he just was like, nope, no more handstand. And then his back. So it's like someone came and kicked his arms out from under him, because his arms like left the table. So he tumbles down, but his back hits the edge of the picnic table. So it looks like someone it's like Roderick Strong came by and gave him the sickest backbreaker you've ever seen in your life. Like his back was like an L shape when it hit that corner. And I was like, oh God. And then Chris, like he bounced. Champs, after the L shape, he bounced like off of the table and hit the ground. Now I immediately run to his aid. Like I'm, oh man, because he's screaming at this point. He's screaming like I guess now as a kid I didn't know this, but as an adult, as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I guess it's good that he's screaming and kicking and stuff, because now we know he's not paralyzed. But at the time, I was panicking. Like this kid, he was screaming and yelling, and he was, think of the Three Stooges, like when they're doing that little spinny thing on the ground, whoop, 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 and that's how he was, but in pain, in agony. So I run to the kid's aid. I'm like, Champ, are you okay, man? Are you all right? What do you need? And he's just screaming. And I turn to Chris, and I'm like, Chris, get some help. And I kid you not, Chris, I don't know if he was trying to be a comedian, but this was the wrong time, buddy. He looks at me, and he literally just starts running in a circle on our back patio, screaming help. Like literally, help, help, in a circle. Right there. Not a big circle, mind you. Just along our patio. Just shouting for help. So I immediately thought, alright, I'm on my own here. He's not going to help. And I don't think, like, our neighbors, I don't think they were home. There's no one, like, he wasn't shouting loud enough to where anyone would, like, come help. So I'm tending the champ. Chris is yelling help in a circle for some reason, and my dad, guys, he's a no nonsense dad, right? Like, we would get spankings for nothing. Just if he deemed it spanking worthy, he would do it, whether we thought it was or not. Like, there was no discussions. None at all. So he walks past the back door, and I'm like, he has this look. For anyone who has a dad that's in the military, you know the look. He was a drill sergeant, and he would give this look all the time. He looked and be all stern. He looked at the situation. He looked at me, which I was terrified. He looked at Chris. Chris had stopped yelling, by the way. And then he looked at Champ. And there were very few words that came out of his mouth. And these were it. Whose boy is that? And I said, Miss Kelly's. And he said, oh. Then he walked into the kitchen, made himself a sandwich, and then walked off. Did nothing. I was like, okay, I guess you're alright, man, because if you need a hospitalization or something, like, my dad would help you. I mean, he's patched me up a lot of times, so I guess you're okay. And after, I say maybe a minute or so after that, Champ gets up. You know, he tears in his eyes, and he wipes them away, and he just limps off to his house, which was next door. And we never spoke about it again. I don't even think Dad mentioned it at all. He's just like, whatever. Which, I don't want to give you guys the wrong idea. Like, my dad was no nonsense, but he wasn't stone cold. But he was that day. Like, he didn't care about that kid. He was like, who's that boy? And are we going to get sued? And I think that's all he cared about. I don't know. Once I said Miss Kelly, he just was like, all right, whatever. He just walked away. Like, I thought he was at least going to help or give some words of advice. But he didn't say nothing. He was just like, whatever. And I think it was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, he had enough time to make that sandwich. So he could have, whatever. He didn't care. He didn't care. Oh, gosh. Oh, I love those days, man. Yeah, I got to come up with some more stories from my childhood. That's where the most craziness happened. Like, I remember one time, actually, let me go ahead and do the intro again. We're going to set up the next video. So thank you for watching. If you hung around long enough, I appreciate you listening to my crazy childhood stories or whatever stories I decide to tell. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.